Hello and welcome to our final explainer in the series on action research. So for the past few sessions, we've really gotten into the nuts and bolts, the what and the how of this incredible method. Today, we're bringing it all home to look at the where, basically the launchpad for your very own research journey. And this quote right here, this is exactly what today is all about. We're stepping away from the blueprint and onto the building site, We're going to look at where action research really comes alive, in actual schools, classrooms, and educational settings. All right, let's get into it. So first up, we have Chapter 9 from our source text, and it's all about mapping the terrain. You can think of this as your guide to finding the most fertile ground for your research, making sure your efforts are focused right where they can make the biggest difference. Now, before we get into the specifics, let's just have a quick reminder of what the goal is here. At its heart, action research is all about improving what we do day in and day out. It's about tackling the real-world challenges in your own environment, reflecting on your practice, and ultimately making things better for your learners. This brings us to a really key concept from Chapter 9, the domain of application. It's a bit of a formal term, but all it really means is those specific, concrete areas of educational practice. Things like curriculum design, classroom management, or maybe student assessment, where you can apply that action research cycle we've been talking about. What our source tells us is that Chapter 9 is basically set up like a menu of possibilities. It lays out all these key domains to help you pinpoint exactly where your own research question might fit in. Okay, and it's important to be clear here, this specific point is not covered in our source. So the text acts as a signpost, confirming that this really useful list exists within the book to guide you, but it doesn't actually detail those specific domains for us here. One last thing from this chapter. It doesn't just give you the what and the where, but also the who. The text describes an educational action research center, which is a fantastic way of showing how you can find real-world communities and support to help put all these ideas into practice. So, with that map in hand, let's move on to Chapter 10. Now that we know where to look, the logical next step is to learn from people who've already walked this path. This chapter is all about getting those crucial insights from the field. And this is the big question, isn't it? The one that Chapter 10 really tries to answer. I mean, it's one thing to understand the theory, but what does a finished action research project actually look like? What can we learn from studies that are already out there? Well, to answer that, the source gives us summaries of a whole bunch of completed studies. These are meant to be powerful case studies, really, offering up some inspiration and some practical, high-level takeaways that can help guide your own project. And again, just to be transparent, this point is not covered in our source material. While the text confirms these summaries are in the book to serve as models, the specific themes and findings from those studies aren't detailed in the parts we have access to. Okay, now we get to the most hands-on part of our explainer. Chapter 10 doesn't just leave you with examples. It gives you direct instructions on how to start your own journey. This is where the theory really hits the road. So here's the crucial bit. The book gives you 2 specific exercises that are designed to be your immediate next steps. These are not abstract thought experiments, okay? They are structured, practical tasks meant to get you, the teacher, the researcher, started on your own action research cycle right away. And while our source does confirm these 2 exercises are your go-to next steps, it doesn't actually describe what they ask you to do. So essentially, the book is providing the what, the tasks to get you started, but leaving the how for you to discover inside its pages. So let's pull all this together. Chapters 9 and 10 are effectively giving us a launch pad. You've got a map of the terrain, you've got examples from the field, and you've got a direct call to action. It's really the perfect way to wrap up the main body of the text. To round everything off, Chapter 10 finishes with a general summary. The whole idea here is to consolidate everything we've learned, really reinforcing those core principles and leaving you with a clear, solid understanding of action research as a complete, practical method. And honestly, that is the perfect note to end on. Across this whole series, we have built a complete pathway from the foundations of research all the way to the practical application of the action research cycle. The toolkit is now yours. I'd really encourage you to go back, maybe revisit our first explainer, and run through that cycle again, but this time with your own classroom in mind. Thank you so much for joining us. This does conclude our current series, but the work doesn't have to stop here. Looking ahead, we can build on this foundation with worked examples and practical templates to give you even more support for your action research. Until then, happy researching.